There is a kind of stillness that settles over you when something unexpected begins to make sense. Not the loud, sudden clarity that comes with lightning, but the quiet kind, the kind that creeps in slowly while you are busy doing ordinary things. You might be washing dishes, or driving home from work, or sitting in the silence of an early morning before the world wakes up. And in that stillness, something begins to stir. A name comes to mind, or a face, or a feeling that you cannot quite shake. And at first, you push it away, because it doesn't fit neatly into the life you planned. It doesn't look the way you imagined love would look when you were younger and still holding on to a picture in your mind of how things were supposed to unfold. But here you are, and something in your spirit is shifting, and you are not sure whether to follow it or to run from it. I want to speak to you today from that place, from the uncertainty, from the wondering, from the quiet question you have been carrying but have not yet spoken out loud. Because I believe that sometimes God leads us into territories we did not expect to walk, not to confuse us, but to expand us, not to make our lives harder, but to show us that His ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And yes, I am talking about that person, the one who is younger than you thought your person would be, the one who, on paper, does not seem to match the timeline you had written for your own life, the one who makes you pause and ask yourself, is this really from God, or am I just being foolish? I want you to know that the fact that you are even asking that question tells me something beautiful about your heart. It tells me that you are not moving recklessly. It tells me that you care about honoring God with your choices. It tells me that you are not someone who takes love lightly. And that is a good thing. That is a very good thing. So let us sit here together for a while, not rushing toward conclusions, but simply exploring what it means when God places something unexpected on your heart. You see, we live in a world that is obsessed with patterns. We are taught from a young age that there is a right way and a wrong way to do almost everything, including love. We are told that certain age gaps are acceptable and others are not, that certain timelines make sense and others are cause for concern. And I am not here to dismiss wisdom entirely, because wisdom matters, discernment matters, and we should never abandon our good judgment in the name of following our hearts. But I am here to remind you that God is not bound by the same rules that society writes. He is not limited by the expectations we inherit from culture. He is not confined to the narrow paths that other people have walked before us. In the book of Isaiah, there is a verse that has always stayed with me, where the Lord says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" And I have often wondered how many of us miss what God is doing simply because it does not look familiar. How many blessings pass us by because they do not arrive in the packaging we were expecting? How many connections ordained by heaven are dismissed because they do not fit neatly into the mold we had already prepared? If you are sensing that God may be leading you towards someone younger than you anticipated, I want you to pause before you panic. I want you to breathe before you dismiss it entirely, because age, while it carries its own kind of significance, is not the only measure of readiness. It is not the only indicator of maturity. It is not the only sign that someone is prepared to walk beside you in faith, in love, in partnership. I have seen people who have lived many decades and still carry the wounds of childhood without ever addressing them. And I have seen people in their 20s who have done the deep inner work, who have sat with their pain, who have allowed God to shape them in ways that many never allow. Maturity is not always a matter of years. Sometimes it is a matter of surrender. Sometimes it is a matter of how willing someone has been to let God into the broken places. And if this person that God has placed in your path carries a spirit of humility, a heart that seeks after righteousness, a willingness to grow and to learn and to honor you, then perhaps the number attached to their age is not the most important thing after all. Now I want to be very clear about something. I am not here to tell you what to do. I am not here to promise you that this is definitely your spouse, or that marriage is guaranteed, or that everything will work out exactly as you hope. That is not my place. That is between you and God. What I am here to do is to encourage you to stay open, to remain prayerful, to not let fear make decisions that only faith should make. Because fear has a way of masquerading as wisdom. It whispers things like, "What will people think?" Or "This does not make logical sense," or "You are too old for this kind of uncertainty." And those whispers can sound so reasonable that we mistake them for the voice of God. But God does not speak in the language of shame. He does not lead through embarrassment or social pressure. When He guides, even into unfamiliar territory, there is a peace that accompanies it. Not the absence of questions, but the presence of assurance beneath the questions. A knowing that runs deeper than explanation. If you have been feeling that kind of knowing, even while your mind tries to talk you out of it, then maybe it is time to stop fighting it and start praying through it instead. Ask God to reveal His will clearly. Ask Him to close doors that are not meant for you and to open the ones that are. Ask Him to protect your heart from deception, but also from unnecessary fear, and then trust that He is faithful enough to answer. I think sometimes we forget how deeply personal God's plans for us really are. We look around at other people's lives, and we assume that our path should mirror theirs. We compare our timeline to our friends, to our siblings, to the couples we see at church, and we wonder why ours looks so different. But your life was never meant to be a copy of someone else's story. Your journey has its own contours, its own seasons, its own divine fingerprints that no one else will ever fully understand. And if God is writing something unusual into your story, something that makes other people raise their eyebrows or ask too many questions, that does not mean He has abandoned you. It might just mean He is trusting you with something that requires more faith than most people are willing to exercise. I want to speak now to the part of you that feels unworthy. The part that wonders why God would bring someone younger into your life when you feel like your best years are behind you. The part that looks in the mirror and sees wrinkles or gray hairs or a body that does not look the way it used to, and wonders what anyone could possibly see in you now. I need you to hear me when I say this. You are not past your season of being loved. You are not too old for tenderness. You are not too worn out for romance, for partnership, for the kind of companionship that makes life feel less lonely. God does not discard people when they reach a certain age. He does not look at your years and say, "Well, I guess there is nothing left for you now." No, He looks at you and sees every season you have walked through, every storm you have survived, every prayer you have whispered in the dark, and He calls you beloved. And if He is aligning you with someone younger, it may be because that person needs exactly what you carry: your wisdom, your patience, your steadiness, your faith that has been tested and refined by time. There is a verse in Ecclesiastes that says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up the other." And I believe that God in His kindness brings people together, not because they are the same, but because they complement each other. Because what one lacks, the other carries in abundance. Because together, they become stronger than either could be alone. Maybe this younger person brings energy into your life that you had forgotten you were missing. Maybe they bring hope, or laughter, or a fresh perspective that challenges you to keep growing instead of settling into routine. And maybe you bring grounding to their life. Maybe you bring a depth of understanding that only comes from having walked longer roads. Maybe you bring a calm presence in the midst of chaos, a reminder that not everything has to be rushed, that patience is not a weakness, but a strength. This kind of partnership, when it is rooted in mutual respect and shared faith, is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to be grateful for. If you are finding encouragement in this message, I want you to know that you are not alone in this journey. There are others walking similar paths, carrying similar questions, seeking the same kind of peace that you are searching for. And if this channel, Angelic Lights, has been a source of comfort for you, I would be honored if you considered subscribing so that we can continue to walk together in faith. But more than that, I want you to take a moment right now to simply breathe, to release the tension you have been carrying, to remind yourself that God is not in a hurry, even when you feel like you are running out of time. His timing is not like ours. He does not measure success by how quickly things happen. He measures by how deeply things take root. And deep roots take time. I want you to think about a tree for a moment. The older the tree, the deeper its roots go. The more storms it has weathered, the more anchored it becomes. And when a new branch begins to grow on that tree, it is not strange or out of place. It is natural. It is part of the tree's ongoing life. It draws from the same roots, the same trunk, the same source of nourishment. Maybe that is what God is doing in your life right now. Maybe He is growing something new, something unexpected, something that draws from everything you have already been through. And maybe instead of questioning it, you are being invited to simply receive it, to stop analyzing long enough to appreciate, to stop doubting long enough to enjoy. Because joy, real joy, the kind that comes from trusting God even when things do not make sense, that joy is available to you right now. Not someday, not when everything is figured out, but right now, in the middle of the uncertainty, in the midst of the questions. The psalmist wrote that those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be shaken, but endures forever. And I believe that when you place your relationship, whatever stage it is in, into God's hands, you are building on something that cannot be easily shaken. Not by the opinions of others, not by the doubts in your own mind, not by the voices that tell you this is too unconventional to work. Because God has never been interested in conventional. He has always been interested in faithful. And faithfulness looks different in every life it inhabits. Let me say something else that I think needs to be said. If you are walking into this connection, or considering walking into it, you must do so with open eyes. Love is beautiful, but it is also a responsibility. Commitment is sacred, and it requires honesty, communication, and the willingness to navigate differences with grace. An age difference, no matter how much spiritual alignment exists, will still present its own unique challenges. There will be moments when you see the world differently. There will be seasons when you are in different places emotionally or physically. There will be conversations that require patience and humility on both sides. But none of that means the relationship is wrong. It simply means it is real. And real love, the kind that God blesses and sustains, is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of commitment through difficulty. It is two people choosing each other, not because everything is easy, but because they believe that what God has joined together is worth fighting for. So as you move forward, I encourage you to pray together if you can, to seek counsel from wise and trusted voices in your life, to keep your heart soft toward one another and toward God, and to never stop communicating, even when the words are hard. I believe that when we bring our relationships to God in honesty and humility, He is faithful to guide us. He does not leave us wandering in the dark. He lights the path, one step at a time, just enough for us to take the next step with confidence. And if you are watching this today, and you feel like God has been speaking to your heart through these words, I want to encourage you to leave a comment below, not for the algorithm, but because there is power in speaking your faith out loud. There is something that shifts inside of us when we declare what we believe, when we say yes to what God is doing, even before we see the full picture. And who knows, your words might encourage someone else who is watching, someone who is walking a similar road and needs to know they are not alone. Before I close, I want to pray over you, not out loud, but in my spirit, I am lifting you up right now. I am asking God to grant you clarity where there is confusion, peace where there is anxiety, and courage where there is hesitation. I am asking Him to protect your heart from harm, but also from fear, to give you the wisdom to move forward when it is time, and the patience to wait when it is not. And I am thanking Him even now for what He is doing in your life, whether you can see it clearly yet or not, because I believe that He is working. I believe that He is faithful, and I believe that He has not forgotten you. Your desires are not foolish to Him. Your hope for love, for companionship, for someone to walk through life with, that is not a weakness. It is a reflection of how you were made. We were created for connection. We were designed for relationship. And when we bring those longings to God instead of hiding them, He honors that vulnerability with His presence. So go in peace today. Not in certainty about every detail, but in peace about who holds the details. Trust that He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Trust that the one who knows the end from the beginning also knows exactly what you need and when you need it. And trust that even when the path looks unconventional, even when the relationship does not fit the mold, even when others do not understand, God is still God, and His love for you has not changed. It will not change. It cannot change, because He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And you, beloved, are held in His hands. Thank you for walking through this message with me today. If it has touched your heart in any way, I would be grateful if you shared it with someone who might need to hear it. And until next time, may the grace of God rest upon you and the peace of Christ guard your heart and mind. Go gently and know that you are loved.